when Amy turned around and saw Ty standing there. Fans around the world stopped breathing for a second. Could it really be him after all these years? Heartland Season 19 Episode 1 just gave us the moment we never thought we'd see again. Season 19 of Heartland opens with a kind of energy we haven't felt in years. A quiet storm of emotions, memories, and unexpected surprises. But to understand why this episode hits so hard, we need to go back for a moment. We need to remember where we left off, how far this family has come, and the deep wound that's still healing. Asterisk in Season 14, the show delivered its most heartbreaking moment, the death of Ty Borden. After surviving years of struggles, love, and even near-death experiences, Ty's life was tragically cut short due to complications from a gunshot wound. It was sudden, it was shocking, and for many fans, it felt deeply personal. Ty wasn't just a character, he was the heart of Heartland. The steady hand by Amy's side, the quiet strength of the Fleming Borden family. His death left a silence in the show that was impossible to ignore. Asterisk Season 15 and 16 tried to gently move forward. We watched Amy slowly try to pick up the pieces of her life, not just for herself, but for her daughter Lyndy. Her healing wasn't fast, and it wasn't easy. She faced waves of grief, confusion, and anger. She leaned on her family, on the horses, and on the land that had always been her home. But still, the space Ty left remained. You could feel it in every empty chair, every quiet moment, every time Amy looked off into the distance. Asterisk by the end of Season 18, fans had started to notice something, a shift. Amy was smiling more. There was light in her again, but there were also hints, strange dreams, flashbacks, conversations that circled around the past. It felt like the writers were preparing us for something emotional, something big. Asterisk and then, the trailer for Season 19 Episode 1 dropped. It was brief, but one scene stood out. A man in the distance, a familiar figure, Amy's breath catching in her throat. And then a face, Ty's face, just for a second. Just enough to send fans into a whirlwind of emotion. Could it really be? Was it a trick, a dream, a vision, or something more? Asterisk, as the episode begins, we're immediately pulled into Amy's world again, quiet mornings on the ranch, the sound of hooves in the distance, and that sense of longing that never fully left her. But something's different. Her energy is unsettled. There's something on her mind. We hear her voice in a soft narration, reflecting on time, memory, and how some people never really leave us, even when they're gone. It sets the tone for what's to come, not just a return, but a reckoning. Not just nostalgia, but emotional confrontation. Asterisk, this first section of the episode does more than just open a new season. It reminds us of everything we've lost, everything Amy has lost. And it builds the tension masterfully. The pacing is slow but intentional. Every glance, every pause in Amy's voice, every shadow in the barn, it's all telling us that something is coming, something we aren't ready for. Asterisk, we also see glimpses of the rest of the family, Jack working on the fence, Lou organizing a family dinner, Tim checking in on Lyndy. Life is moving forward, but you can feel the undercurrent. Everyone is still carrying pieces of Ty with them, whether they say it out loud or not. There's a shared grief that never really goes away. And in the middle of it all is Amy, the woman who loved Ty more than anyone else, still standing, still fighting, still healing. Asterisk, as we reach the halfway point of the episode's opening act, we start to see the signs. Amy finds one of Ty's old shirts tucked away in a drawer. She lingers on it. She breathes it in. She doesn't cry, not yet, but we can see it in her eyes. Something's about to break. Asterisk, and just as the music swells, as the sun begins to set over the Heartland ranch, Amy walks into the barn. She stops, she turns, and there, in the doorway, stands Ty. Asterisk, we're going to break that moment down fully in the next section, but for now, just sit with it. That one image, Ty Borden, back, or at least Something that looks like him, something that feels like him. After 5 seasons of silence, the heart of Heartland just skipped a beat. Asterisk the screen fades in with warm golden light spilling into the barn. Dust hangs gently in the air. The horses shift quietly in the stalls. It's one of those familiar Heartland moments, still, slow, and full of memory. But this time, something's different. Amy walks in, and for a moment, the world around her seems to hold its breath. She senses something. She turns. And standing in the doorway is Ty Borden. Asterisk, it's not a dramatic entrance. No music crash, no slow motion. Just a quiet, still moment that feels completely unreal. His silhouette is soft, lit from behind by the fading sunlight. He's not wearing anything new, just his classic jacket, jeans, and that calm look on his face. Amy freezes. Her eyes widen. She doesn't say anything. She can't, and neither can we. Asterisk at this point. Fans watching at home probably gasped, shouted, or sat forward in disbelief. How could Ty be standing there? We saw him die. We mourned with Amy. We lived through her grief. And now, there he is, alive. Not exactly. Asterisk the show doesn't immediately explain what's happening. That's part of what makes the moments so powerful. For a few seconds, we're seeing through Amy's eyes. And for her, and for us, the only thing that matters is that Ty is there, breathing, looking at her, calm, familiar. Asterisk, he doesn't say anything at first. He just looks at her the way he always did, with quiet strength. Amy finally whispers, Ty? Her voice cracks, almost like she's afraid that saying his name might make him disappear. And still, he just smiles. Asterisk, but here's the twist. This isn't real, at least not in the physical sense. As the episode goes on, it's revealed that this version of Ty is part of Amy's emotional journey, a vision, a dream, maybe even a form of closure. But it doesn't matter whether it's real or not. It feels real to Amy, and for those few minutes, it feels real to us. Asterisk the scene unfolds slowly, giving viewers time to absorb every detail. Amy walks toward him. Her hands shake. She doesn't reach out to touch him right away. Part of her still doesn't believe it. Ty speaks first. His voice is gentle, calm, and steady. He tells her he never really left. He says, I've always been here. And that one line hits like a wave. Because in a way, it's true. Asterisk over the past seasons, even without Ty physically present, his memory has shaped every decision Amy has made. He's been there in her grief, in her strength, in her bond with Lyndy. He's been part of her healing journey, even in silence. This moment isn't about bringing him back to life. It's about honoring the role he still plays in Amy's heart. Asterisk they talk, not about big things like death or the afterlife, but about simple things. The horses, Lyndy, how proud he is of her. He tells Amy that she's stronger than she knows, that she's done everything right. And in that moment, we see Amy soften. She cries not out of sadness, but out of something deeper, release. Asterisk, this isn't a ghost story. This is emotional closure told in the most Heartland way possible. Quiet, respectful, meaningful. The scene ends not with a goodbye, but with a sense of peace. Ty looks around the barn, the place that was their home, and says, You're going to be okay. Amy nods, tears falling freely now. And when she looks back up, he's gone. Asterisk the camera lingers on her face. She's not shocked or devastated. She's calm. She walks out of the barn into the evening light, and for the first time in a long time, she looks free. Like something heavy has finally lifted from her shoulders. Asterisk this moment isn't just powerful for Amy, it's for the audience too. The show is finally giving fans a moment they've been craving since season 14, a final farewell. One that feels earned. One that feels respectful to everything Ty meant to the story, and to us. Asterisk it also opens up a new door. By facing her grief this way, Amy isn't stuck in the past anymore. She can start to truly live in the present. And this return, even as a vision, gives her permission to keep moving forward without guilt, without fear, and without losing. The connection to the love she shared with Ty. Asterisk, from a writing standpoint, this scene is brilliant. It doesn't cheat the audience with a resurrection or a time travel plot. Instead, it uses memory and emotion in a way that fits perfectly within the world of Heartland. It honors the past while gently guiding the characters and us into the future. Asterisk, in the next section, we'll dive into Amy's emotional reaction after this vision, how it affects her in the days that follow, and how her family starts to notice the change, the tears, the silence, the strength. All of it adds up to one of the most moving performances Amber Marshall has ever delivered. Asterisk. After Ty disappears from the barn, the silence says everything. Amy stands there for a long time. The only sound is the gentle shifting of horses in the background. Her eyes are red, her hands are still trembling. But there's no breakdown, not yet. Her face tells a deeper story. She's somewhere between pain and peace, caught in that strange space where memory feels real and love still lingers. Asterisk, as she walks slowly back toward the house, the camera doesn't rush. It follows her footsteps through the golden grass, the wind just barely brushing through her hair. The scene is simple but layered with meaning. Amy isn't just returning from the barn, she's returning from a deeply personal, emotional confrontation. And it's left her shaken. Asterisk, once inside the house, she moves almost like she's on autopilot. She picks up one of Lyndy's toys from the floor. She wipes the counter. She sits down at the kitchen table and just stares out the window. These aren't dramatic actions, but they're deeply human. Sometimes, after an emotional storm, all we can do is try to pretend things are normal even when they're not. Asterisk, the next morning, we finally see the weight begin to spill out. Amy stands in front of the bathroom mirror. She's brushing her hair, and her hand pauses. She looks at herself, and something in her face shifts. The tears come quietly. Not sobs, just soft, steady tears that fall without resistance. It's the kind of cry that comes from years of holding back. From holding it all in for the sake of others. For the sake of Lyndy. For the sake of moving forward. Asterisk, this moment is one of the most intimate we've seen in a long time. There's no music, no dialogue, just the sound of breathing and the occasional sniffle. And somehow, that makes it even more powerful. Amy doesn't need to say anything. Her face does all the work. And what it says is simple. I miss him. I've missed him every single day. Asterisk, what's truly heartbreaking is that this isn't the kind of grief that screams or shatters things. This is quiet grief, long-term grief, the kind that settles deep inside and changes how you move through the world. Amy has carried this for so long, for Lyndy, for her family, for herself. But after seeing Ty, even if it was just in a vision, all those buried emotions rise to the surface. Asterisk, later that day, Jack finds Amy outside, sitting on the steps of the porch. She's staring out at the fields, but her eyes are far away. Jack sits down beside her, and for a moment, they don't say anything. It's that classic Heartland silence, the kind that says more than words. Finally, Amy whispers, I saw him. Jack doesn't act surprised. He just nods, slowly. Asterisk, Jack's response is one of quiet wisdom. He tells her about a time after Lyndy Bartlett died, how he would sometimes see her in his dreams, feel her hand on his shoulder when he was alone in the barn. Love doesn't end just because someone's gone, he says. Sometimes they show up when we need them the most. It's not a dramatic speech, just a gentle reminder that what Amy experienced was real in its own way. And more importantly, that it's okay to feel everything, the joy, the sadness, the longing. Asterisk, Amy finally breaks. She leans into Jack's shoulder and cries. And this time, it's not just a few tears, it's everything. All the pain, all the years of trying to be strong, all the moments she wanted to scream but didn't. Jack doesn't try to stop her. He just holds her, letting her feel what she needs to feel. And this is healing. Asterisk, as the episode moves forward, we begin to see subtle shifts in Amy. She is softer with Lyndy, more present. She lets herself laugh more, even if the laughter is still a little shaky. She starts spending more time at the barn again, not just to work, but to be close to where she felt Ty the most. And one evening, she takes down an old photo of her and Ty, wipes the dust off, and places it on the kitchen shelf, not hidden away, but in plain view. As if to say, he's still part of this family. Asterisk, Amy also opens up to Lou in a rare sister-to-sister moment. They sit on the couch late at night, a cup of tea, each of their hands. Amy finally talks about the vision, about what Ty said, about what she felt. Lou listens closely, not interrupting, just holding space. And when Amy says, "I think I'm finally ready to move forward," Lou takes her hand and says, "He'd want that for you." Asterisk, this line becomes a quiet theme for the rest of the episode. "He'd want that for you." It echoes in Amy's mind as she tucks Lyndy into bed, as she works with the horses, as she rides through the hills alone. It's not a way of letting go of Ty. It's a way of carrying his love forward. Asterisk, Amy's tears in this episode are not a sign of weakness. They're a sign of release, of transformation, of facing the deepest part of her loss and allowing herself to feel it fully instead of holding it back like she's done for years. This emotional arc is handled with care, patience, and realism, something Heartland has always been known for. Asterisk, what makes it even more powerful is Amber Marshall's performance. Without dramatic outbursts or over-the-top emotions, she delivers some of her most vulnerable work in years. Her portrayal of Amy in this episode feels honest, lived in, deeply human. It's the kind of acting that doesn't beg for attention, but earns respect through authenticity. Asterisk, by the end of the episode, Amy isn't healed. Grief doesn't work like that. But she's lighter. There's a sense of peace in her now. Not because she saw Ty, but because she allowed herself to feel the weight of that love again, and then gently set it down. Asterisk, in the next section, we'll explore how the rest of the family reacts. Because Amy isn't the only one who felt Ty's presence. And each family member has their own way of responding to the return, real or imagined, of the man who helped shape them all. Asterisk, while Amy carries the emotional weight of seeing Ty, she's not alone in feeling the shift his presence creates. As the episode unfolds, the rest of the Heartland family begins to sense that something is different. The air at the ranch feels heavier, but not in a bad way, more like something sacred has passed through, and it touches each of them in quiet, personal ways. Asterisk, let's start with Jack. The moment he sits next to Amy on the porch, his calm acceptance speaks volumes. He doesn't question her when she says she saw Ty. He doesn't doubt it. He simply listens. That's who Jack has always been, the rock, the foundation of the Fleming family. But in this episode, we also see his own tenderness surface. Asterisk, later that night, after comforting Amy, Jack returns to the barn alone. He leans on the stable gate, eyes glancing toward Ty's old workspace. There's a quiet sadness in his face. Not fresh grief, but a long-held ache that never quite left. He mutters softly, "You'd be proud of her," as if talking to the wind. It's a private moment, one he doesn't share with anyone, but it's powerful. Jack may be strong, but that doesn't mean he stopped missing Ty. Seeing Amy come face to face with him, even in a dream, brings Jack's memories rushing back to Asterisk. Next, we have Lou. She doesn't experience Ty's presence directly, but she's incredibly perceptive when it comes to Amy. After Amy opens up to her, Lou becomes even more protective and supportive. She starts picking up more responsibilities around the house and gives Amy more time with the horses and with Lyndy. Lou isn't just helping. She's stepping in as a sister who understands that grief is a long road and that sometimes the best support is just giving someone space to breathe. Asterisk, one scene shows Lou watching Amy ride alone in the distance. She doesn't say anything, just watches, a soft smile on her face. Maybe she doesn't believe in visions or signs the way Amy does, but she believes in the love Ty and Amy shared. And she sees the change in her sister. That's enough. Tim, however, reacts in a more complicated way. When Amy eventually shares her experience, Tim is skeptical. He doesn't mock it, he wouldn't do that, but you can tell he's struggling to process it. For Tim, grief is something to be pushed aside, managed through action. He's never been good at sitting with pain, and hearing that Amy saw Ty brings up something raw for him. Guilt, in one of the episodes most quietly. Intense scenes, Tim goes into the barn and finds the old saddle Ty used to work on. He runs his hand along the worn leather and sighs. Then he whispers, "I should have done more." It's a confession, not just about Ty's death, but about all the missed chances. The things left unsaid. Tim loved Ty like a son, even if he didn't always show it. And seeing Amy reconnect with Ty's spirit forces Tim to face his own unresolved feelings. It's not dramatic, but it's powerful. A man coming to terms with the parts of grief he's buried deep, and then there's Lyndy, the quiet heart of the family. She's young, but she's not blind to what's going on. Children notice more than adults think, and Lyndy has always been sensitive. One evening, as Amy tucks her into bed, Lyndy asks softly, "Did Daddy visit?" Amy freezes for a second. She looks into her daughter's eyes, full of curiosity, not fear, and nods. "Just for a little while," she says. Lyndy smiles. "Was he happy?" Amy smiles back, her voice gentle and full of emotion. "He was proud of you." This moment is small, but it's one of the most beautiful in the episode. It shows how the memory of Ty still lives on in his daughter, not just in stories or photos, but in something deeper. Something unspoken. Lyndy may not have full memories of Ty, but she feels his love, and that's something no time or distance can erase. We also get a short but touching scene with Lisa, Jack's partner. She brings tea to Amy one evening and doesn't ask questions, just sits beside her. Lisa has always been a quiet, emotional anchor in the family. Her presence reminds Amy that she doesn't have to go through this alone. It's a small moment, but one that adds warmth and stability to Amy's fragile state. As the episode continues, we see the ripple effect of Amy's experience. It softens the family. It reminds them all that grief isn't just about missing someone, it's about remembering them, honoring them, and allowing that love to live on in new ways. Ty's presence, even for a few minutes, brings healing to everyone. Not through big speeches or dramatic reunions, but through shared silences, small actions, and moments of reflection. One of the final family scenes shows everyone gathered at the dinner table. There's laughter, jokes, a sense of lightness that hasn't been there in a long time. Amy looks around and sees it, the family moving forward, but not forgetting. She catches Jack's eye, and he gives her a small nod, a quiet way of saying, "We're okay. We're going to be okay." This is what makes Heartland special. It doesn't need massive plot twists to move you. It relies on truth, emotion, and human connection. This episode proves that even the softest moments can carry the deepest meaning. In the final part of our breakdown, we'll explore how this episode sets the tone for Season 19, the new themes, the future of Amy's journey, and how Ty's return, though brief, has changed everything. The return of Ty Borden in Season 19, Episode 1 wasn't just a moment for shock or nostalgia. It was a turning point, both for Amy and for the story of Heartland. After seasons spent walking through grief, this episode gently opens the door to something else: hope, renewal, and emotional courage. Let's start with the themes. One of the strongest undercurrents of this episode is the idea that love doesn't disappear, it evolves. Ty's appearance, whether dream or memory, wasn't about reversing time. It wasn't about undoing his death. It was about honoring the deep connection he shared with Amy and how that love can live on in new, quieter ways. The episode also explores the healing power of acceptance. For Amy, seeing Ty again didn't stir confusion. It brought peace. Her tears weren't the tears of someone shattered all over again. They were the tears of someone finally ready to stop running from pain. We see that healing isn't a straight line. Sometimes it takes years, and sometimes it takes a moment, one dream, one look, one whisper from the past to shift everything. There's also a subtle but strong message about inner strength. Amy has always been strong, but this episode shows a different kind of strength, the kind that doesn't look like pushing forward, but like pausing, feeling deeply, and still choosing to stand up the next day. It's emotional bravery, and it runs through the entire episode. Now let's talk about foreshadowing, because this episode clearly sets up bigger things for season 19. First, there's a strong suggestion that Amy may be stepping into a new chapter of her life. That doesn't mean she fall in love again right away. Heartland moves at a slow, respectful pace. But she may begin to open up more. Explore what it means to love without guilt, to find joy without feeling like she's betraying Ty's memory. The seeds of that journey are planted here, and it's exciting and a little nerve-wracking to imagine what's coming next. Then there's Lyndy, her growing awareness, emotional sensitivity, and subtle connection to Ty hint that she could play a much larger role this season, whether it's through dreams, questions about her father, or her bond with the horses. Lyndy's story is becoming more important and more deeply connected to Amy's. The show may also explore family legacy more deeply. Jack, Lou, Tim, they've all weathered storms. This episode suggests that the family might need to come together in new ways this season. Maybe to support Amy, maybe to protect Lyndy, maybe to face another challenge that tests their strength. We don't know what's coming, but the emotional groundwork is clearly being laid. And now, we need to talk about the fan reactions, because the emotional ripple from this episode didn't just stay on the screen. It spread across social media like wildfire. Within minutes of the episode's release, the internet was flooded with emotional responses. Fans on Twitter, TikTok, Reddit, and YouTube couldn't stop talking about the return of Ty Borden. The most common words: "I'm crying," "I wasn't ready," "My heart is broken," all over again. Some fans shared clips of themselves reacting to the moment, covering their mouths in shock, or wiping tears as Amy turned to see Ty in the barn. But alongside the tears was something else: gratitude. Fans appreciated the way the writers handled Ty's return. They didn't force him back into the story in a way that felt cheap or unrealistic. They gave him and the audience a moment of love, clarity, and closure. That's rare in television. And it's part of why Heartland continues to mean so much to so many people. Some longtime viewers even said this was the most emotional episode since Ty's original death. Others said it gave them peace, closure they didn't realize they needed. Many said it helped them reflect on their own losses, their own loved ones, and how memory can be a powerful, living thing. And let's not forget Graham Wardle, the actor behind Ty. Though he left the show seasons ago, his brief reappearance reminded everyone why Ty meant so much. It wasn't just about romance. Ty represented kindness, growth, and second chances. His return, even for one episode, was a tribute to everything he brought to Heartland. As the episode ends, we get one last quiet shot of the ranch. The golden fields, the horses grazing, Amy and Lyndy walking together hand in hand. The camera lingers on the barn door for just a second longer, and it's enough to make you wonder, was Ty ever really gone? Or is he still here? In every hoofbeat, every whispered breeze, every memory that lives on in the hearts of the family he helped build. This episode wasn't flashy. It didn't need to be. It was honest, gentle, raw, and for many fans, unforgettable. So, What's next? Season 19 has only just begun, but the emotional stakes are already high. Will Amy continue to heal and grow? Will Lyndy's bond with her father deepen in new ways? And how will the family navigate the challenges ahead? Together? *1. Things for sure. If this episode is any indication, this season of Heartland will be one of its most emotional yet.